Hi everyone, this is Ben coming to you live. Our weather right now is actually pretty fantastic. It'll be a really nice night for driving movies.
Normally expect 200 to 300, 514,
900 cars. That's a lot of people in here.
My buddy says, hey, whatever happened to that drive-in idea? He goes, put it in your backyard.
That night, it was like an infusion in me to bring it back, to make it happen.
There was something called showmanship.
Beer garden is open, he's making white Russians.
You're not gonna get that on your TV at home.
It's all a labor of love.
Yeah, we're still in the midst of this uncertainty. Day and date streaming with new movies, is that going to be a permanent thing?
Counting what we made today, $5.
Biggest problem now is having employees, people to help, barely getting by.
And then you get into what the hell's gonna happen to me today.
This is our current situation.
Movies used to mean something, and people used to anticipate their release. Will it survive? I don't know.
I thought it would really be fun to spend our retirement at a drive-in. I didn't realize that we would spend our retirements on a drive-in.
I think that one of the positives is more people will go to drive-ins that maybe hadn't gone before.
I fell in love with it. This is like the best form of entertainment.
When the kids get out of the car, the smile on their face, you can't put a price on that.
It's memories that people will keep forever.
Y'all enjoy the movie.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. Can you move the camera, or I don't know what kind of computer you're on? Maybe a little. There you go.
There.
That's good. And you. So I wasn't sure who I was going to be talking with. 100%.
You have Rod and Donna Saunders from the Field of Dreams Drive-In.
Oh, Field of Dreams.
Pardon?
Great. That's where you built it in your backyard. Hi.
Yes.
Who's that cutie pie? Hi there.
This is Colton, our grandson. We're
Hi,
babysitting
Colton.
right now, so.
It looks like he just got up from a nap.
Yep.
All right, hold on. So, okay, Rod and Donna?
Yes.
Great. Thank you for doing this, by the way.
Oh, no problem.
How are things are you anywhere near that disaster, the train disaster?
No, that's
right.
on the total other side of the state.
Oh, to heck with them then. It's their problem.
To be honest with you, I didn't even know we had a Palestine. Palestine in Ohio.
Oh, yeah. Well, these are how things get on the map, right?
Yep.
That's for sure.
Unfortunately.
A very unfortunate way.
Yeah. Well, thanks for you guys, for all three of you for
And you'll see another one running around behind us.
Oh yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
My parents used to love watching my son and their other granddaughter, and their granddaughter as well, and so
It's what we live for.
yeah, no, that's great. What is and what's his name again?
This is Colton.
Colton, right? Hey, does he like movies?
He's too early, too young to know.
I was thinking maybe it's never too young, because
This is Madden. He likes movies.
One is 3. He likes movies. He thinks everybody's grandparents have a drive-in in their backyard.
wouldn't that be nice? Well, not
No.
necessarily for you guys. That's true. Hello.
Hi.
You're a
Hi.
Leigh. Oh, at least.
Dwight will be here momentarily.
Thank you, by the way.
We're both a little ragged. We literally landed like moments ago from a trip back from South Africa that ended with not making a connection, so having to drive from New York City or from Newark up to Albany. But we're here. We made it in time. So
Wow.
Yay. Okay, so you're the
Greenville Drive-In. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so we're neighbors. Okay, great. We're neighbors then.
Where are you located, Adam?
Well, I'm essentially, let me just say Athens.
Okay. Yeah, so you really are neighbors.
Yeah. And I've been to Greenville. I also do work with the Woodstock Film Festival. So Mayor was very happy to know that, we would be connecting. Yeah. And it's great to meet everybody, Rod and Dolores as well. Donna, excuse me, Rod and Donna. Yeah, now, even though April's not here yet, I guess we could just do without her. What do we need a filmmaker for? But how much interaction have you guys, like in general, with the other subjects have had? And I guess we'll just say we're starting now, because sometimes I start these things and people 5-10 minutes in will say, "Has this guy started yet? What's going on?" Because I'm so incompetent that I never make it clear. It's kind of the nature of the show, is a little informal, but we get all the good information in there. So my question, I guess I was starting was, have you guys had much or any interaction? Has it been in person, or has it been primarily over these types of things? Or, I mean, anybody?
Are you talking about with other drive-in owners?
Yeah,
or with?
Yeah. Just like if I assume, there've been some festivals and things like that where maybe the film showed. I didn't know if you guys had met in any level at all.
So there is a there is a United Drive-In Owners Association.
Okay.
And they get together in generally early February in Florida.
Okay.
Yeah, we just got back from that and saw 3 or 4 other people that are in the movie. So yeah, there has been a little bit of that interaction.
And there's also some and then there's also some regional, like Adam, if you live up here, so there are regionalized ones where it's like
right.
The Malta, the Highway, us I think that's usually like in November, kind of towards the end of the season, we'll kind of get together. So there's definitely communication. And then like throughout COVID, there was actually a pretty good call.
Right.
Was running every week.
So do you guys like exchange recipes? What do you guys do when you're what kind of go what does, like, just practical technology, other
processes, like we could share what processes we use, whether we allow people to bring food in to our theaters or not, and if we do allow people to bring in food, do we charge an outside food permit or not?
What's the answer to that?
Kind of common.
It's split. Some people don't do an outside food permit. Most, if they let food come in, have it some kind of a fee,
like a cork fee.
Yeah.
Because it's true. I mean, you guys are as much of a food or kitchen or what have you than you are a movie theater.
We're a restaurant that just happens to show a movie.
Right. So I wouldn't bring in, like my equipment and play a movie in my, when I'm there either. So I probably would enjoy it. I would look for, I mean, first of all, your kitchens all look, fantastic. You guys in Greenville, New York, you guys been in, wait a minute. I'm screwing up. I wasn't sure who was coming on, so forgive me that I'm not necessarily getting all the names right. So
that's all right.
The place in Greenville, you guys really have a bar more than, right, if I remember correctly, more than you have obviously you have food, but it's primarily the bar is the big thing there.
Yeah, I mean, if we're being completely honest, that's actually why I started. Like, we were looking for a place to build sort of a drinking spot, and it just happened to be that the place that we found originally, we lost to some local chicanery. If you're here in Athens, that may not surprise you. So we ended up, I won't say they gave us the drive-in, but they came close to giving us the drive-in. So then after taking over the drive-in and realizing like, oh, we could still run this as a drive-in, and then we'll just put the bar at the drive-in.
Right.
Yeah, I think it was about 4 years before we bought the land.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we leased the drive-in for, and that's, that is an interesting thing. I don't know. I can't remember how much of that is discussed in April's film, and she'll tell us in a moment.
She's on. Maybe she's coming on, right?
But among, so among the biggest challenges within the drive-in community are the folks who are operators but don't own their property, and then the people who are both operators and owners of the property. So you can have a fairly successful drive-in, but if it's owned by someone else who gets a better offer for the land, it can be sold out from underneath them. That's how
of course
drive-in.
Right.
So so we were a leasee for the first couple of years, and then we bought ours out in 2018.
That makes a lot of sense. Hey, April, nice. Thank you hi, how are you?
I'm great. Sorry, I'm a couple of minutes late. I accidentally logged into the wrong Zoom. I have a bunch of interviews scheduled, and
I appreciate your candor and your honesty about it, and it happens to me all too frequently. But the beauty part is I got to talk to Rod and Donna and Dwight and Leigh and got to know them a little bit and started getting questions going. But I invite you not only to be a subject of this Zoom interview and podcast, but also a co-host too, in the sense that please, if you have something I'm not touching on, by all means interrupt and
yeah. Well, when they reached out to me, they said that you were interested in having some drive-in owners join us, and I think you said you actually had been to the Greenville Drive-In before, so you have
exactly
firsthand experience. Yeah.
Yes. Well, it's funny because I moved up to the Hudson Valley, which is essentially, I guess you could call Greenville right on the cusp of the Hudson Valley / Catskills, and one of the first things that happened after I moved up here in 2020 was that the Woodstock Film Festival hosted a bunch of screenings at the Greenville, and I was like, holy, I haven't been to a drive-in in ages. This is fantastic, and I'm sure it's kind of one of the big points about that period of time that so many people were experiencing for the first time. But I had a blast, and I just love the experience, and so when I heard that these guys were in the documentary, yeah. And I also just thought, as like a host of a podcast, it's just more interesting. It's from a producer standpoint, it's great to have the input of these guys, and it's a delight to meet them.
Yeah, and just have a conversation. Yeah.
So
what's unique about both of these two families are that they didn't grow up in the drive-in business. A lot of the owners, I have a big cross section in the film. I tried intentionally to show all different types of drive-ins, not just geographically in different states, but the Coyote in Fort Worth is right in the city. Right. Some of the others, like Rod and Donna's, are more rural, and so is the Greenville. Some have one screen, some have 7 screens, some are brand new, built from scratch, some are old ones reopened, like Leigh and Dwight's. Some are, ones that have been around forever. In the case of Rod and Donna, they built their first one in their backyard, but they've actually bought other drive-ins since then that have been historic drive-ins. They have another one they're operating right now that's been around forever. So they didn't grow up in the business, but for some crazy reason, they decided they wanted to own drive-ins. So I figured they're great people to talk to and get their perspective on the outlook of it all.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Deborah.
No, just thank you.
I think we're just a little crazy, but
there has to be an element of that. I mean, they're not crazy necessarily. It may be, don't want to trick anybody, but a sense of adventure, of risk taking, that has to be part of your fiber. I have to imagine, to do that. I grew up in Queens back in the 70s, and there were still drive-ins, like even in the city as well. And, I grew up going to like a bunch of them. So back then, I guess, I think, and they had crummy speakers that you would put on your window. I mean, it was just like there was no good reason to go to this thing back then. But now, I mean, it's this great from a technical level, from everything. Obviously, you have to start once it gets dark. But other than that, I mean,
yeah, the sound is whatever's in your vehicle, and
Right.
a lot of vehicles have great sound systems in them. So
yeah,
the thing that gets me on a Friday, Saturday night is somebody will come up and say, my radio's not working. Can I borrow a radio? And of course, I'll rent them for $5. I'll run them a radio. But if they just listen, everybody is listening to the same thing. And the sound that they're going to get from their neighbors is 10 times better than the sound they're getting from the $5 radio I just rented them. So, it is very good sound. It is the quality of the pictures are good since everybody's had to go to digital. And the
you guys have
experience.
even gone to laser projection at least
Yeah.
one of your locations, which when I was on the road making the movie in 2021, since then, a lot of people have commented to me, well, drive-ins have old equipment, the picture isn't good. And I was like, actually, I went to 11 drive-ins and 3 of them had laser projection before any of the AMCs or indoor theaters or anything had it. So actually drive-ins are not as behind the times as people imagine.
right. Yeah.
We also wire our beer garden for sound. And so what that means is that there's also an opportunity for that social element up in the beer garden area, which really sort of adds a lot. And we have had people who literally have ridden their bicycles. We have people who come in on motorcycles and things like that. And because we've got, a bunch of Adirondack chairs and picnic tables and benches and things, they know that they don't have to sit in a car to be able to watch the movie as well. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah, and the majority of the people that come to our facilities do not sit in their car.
Really?
Yeah, we have more pickup trucks and vans and the minivans where they lift the tailgate up and they back in and they're watching out of the back of their truck or the back of their van.
Or a lot of people bring lawn chairs with them now.
Inflatable couches and hammocks are my 2 favorite.
I think
pickup truck, put your sleeping bags or recliners in the back of
I think one of the interesting things about the drive-in more than any literally more than any other film watching experience is that you get to choose how social you want to be. So we have some introverts like me who they'll go off to the corner. So a lot of times it's like a single person. They're just like, I just want to sit in my car and watch the movie, and they'll be cocooned in their space, but there's people around them. So they're like, they're not being social, but they're in a social environment. And then you have other people who are very social. I mean, it also helps that, most of our films are retro. So it's like almost everybody knows the movie. Right. And so what ends up happening is we get these very fun, almost like salons that happen where it's like people come in through the movie and you're in the snack bar kibitzing about this, that, and the other thing. And, I think one of the things I like so much about our space is that the people who come are there who love movies. And anyway.
Well, now that I know you guys, I'm going to be up there all summer. Just look out. I'm telling you, I can't wait till you beat. Go ahead, Rod.
We get people that have block parties or a group of friends that I'll bring the grill, you bring the hamburgers. We talked about the food permit. So we do charge for the food permit. And what we found is that we have a coupon on the bottom of the permit that if you get your money back if you come and spend X amount of dollars in the concession stand. But we get every weekend we have some kind of party going on where, a group of friends, whether they're neighbors or they're just, I don't know, play date people or whatever, but they come and set up their little campsite, bring their grill, bring the cooler full of beer,
Right.
and just, enjoy.
Well,
Yeah.
it makes sense to, get a bunch of friends, bring the kids, and then, it's like a built-in safe area where people,
Yes.
unless they run in front of cars. But so the beer thing, so just like talk about like how you handle that, because there's alcohol being served. Probably people, in New York State anyway. I can't remember Ohio's laws, but now, marijuana is legal. So this is safe for children. This podcast, don't worry. But like people are shoving gummies in their mouth probably during the movies, and I'm just wondering how that works. Do you guys have like a strategy for the cars?
Our facilities are, the rules say alcohol is prohibited. That is to cover our behinds.
Liability. Okay.
Yeah, it's really not policed or enforced. I mean, I've talked to our local sheriffs, and their thinking is if somebody over 21 comes and has a couple of beverages, and I don't see it, and they don't see it, it's no problem. So we're not looking for it. I know I'm not stupid. I know what's happening. I have seen it, but it's just like, hey, just be careful with that. I don't have a liquor license. It's a little bit different than Greenville, but that's our policy. But I know it's happening, and people, knock on wood, have not taken advantage of that. So
I will actually say it's been kind of having a liquor license. It's been kind of interesting that it's now part of it is I don't make a big promotion about. In fact, a lot of people, especially a lot of locals, don't even realize we have a bar because I don't really promote it a whole lot for a variety of reasons. But one is sort of towards the liability thing. And our bar is not. I mean, if you've been there, then it's like our bar is not like a big giant bar. People aren't coming in.
It's a fun setup though. It's a fun way.
It's like they're not coming in and doing jacked in. And it has evolved. It's evolved over the course. At the beginning, it was very much like, okay, we're doing local craft stuff and blah, 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 which is my wheelhouse. But what has really transpired over the last couple of years is that people really want the theme drinks to go along with the show. And April captures that. And obviously for Big Lebowski, it was the White Russians. But every movie is like that. And Leigh knows because I'm a procrastinator. Almost every week it's like it'll be 20 minutes to doors open and I haven't come up with like whatever it is that night. And I'm like, all right, I better find some stuff. But I mean, sometimes it's obvious, like White Russians, but then sometimes it's like, wow.
I sent Dwight a book with ideas that I saw at the Academy Museum out here in Los Angeles. Great. There was something about drinks to go with movies, and I was like, I know who could use this.
No, and I think that speaks to not just the bar, but also the concessions for us as well. We try to have products that you basically wouldn't be able to pick up at Stewart's or Cumbies on your way in. So, that there's, we do feature, like, we do, we started out featuring all New York or mostly New York State products, but even our sodas, we don't do fountain sodas where we are. We have actually Saranac sodas and that are bottled up in Ithaca, New York, and we've met all the guys up there, and that's kind of fun. And we're not exclusive to New York State products, but I have a woman who makes themed cookies for many of the movies, and trying to create something that's unique and worth coming in and trying something that they might not be bringing in with them.
Which sort of circles back to that whole conversation about people bringing in the food. Like we try, I don't really want to police anybody coming in. It's been, a lot of times too, it's like you get fussy kids who are coming in. It's like, I'm not going to tell some mom she can't bring fruit roll-ups that these are her child only eats like tropical berry fruit roll-ups. It's like, yeah, the kid's going to bring the food. It's fine. But we do try and offer food and concessions and drinks and stuff that you wouldn't find.
Yeah, it's kind of part of the experience. I mean, that's what I've been talking about a lot today, is just when you go to a drive-in, it's more than a regular movie because you're really creating an experience. So it's all these different elements. It might be different food or different drinks. It might be just the environment, the sky, at Rod's, he's got, people throw frisbees and there's some little games there, so it's whatever that climate is that's being created that makes a special experience out of it. I think that's what everybody's aiming for. Get people out of their houses, get outside,
Right.
do something somewhat social and create a good memory. That's really what it comes down to, that the history of drive-ins, everybody I talk to, they can tell you their drive-in memories. Even if they were a kid, they remember it so vividly. And I think that's what it's still about, is just creating those family memories and those good times.
And
Drive early, stay late, and make memories.
I think it's interesting for us taking over what I'll call a legacy drive-in. It's been open since '59. We didn't grow up in the neighborhood. We're on 15 years in the neighborhood, but obviously the way it works in the Catskills, we'll never be locals. We'll never be part of which is fine. But I do like, there's almost not, I can't think of a night that I haven't had somebody come in and not say, oh my God, I came here, in the '70s and I did this and we had this memory and that memory. And so, even if you didn't create those memories, you're the steward of somebody else's memories.
Right. I just want to say one thing though. I mean, you mentioned that, like, it's true. It's hard to move into a community that is as proud as, let's say, like that, the Catskills. And, however, at the same time, when you come in and you're running a business and it's like a service like you are, I do think people are far less, let's say, suspect or suspicious or skeptical, however you want to say it. But I think that you would be more welcome because you're doing this amazing thing for the community. So people are going to be, I think, certainly appreciative.
Some folks get it, but then some folks also, you're not running it the way it was run in 1982, and then they're cranky.
Well, you can't please everybody.
No,
Yeah.
That's for sure.
No, but I think for the most part, and actually circling back a little bit to the alcohol question too, I did find it amusing that, when we went to approach the town and it was like, hey, we're going to be selling, we're getting a liquor license and we're going to have a beer garden there. The town had a pretty progressive attitude about it. And they're like, people have been drinking there, since '59. It's like, we're glad that there's going to be somebody with oversight and insurance and collecting taxes. So it's,
right.
They were pretty good about it. No, I think everything's been, our rapport locally, I think has been pretty good, but it is interesting because the other thing that's interesting, and for Greenville in particular, and I don't know how much this extends to other drive-ins, but because we're located in an area that was sort of a resort-based community, we have a lot of people who have been coming to the drive-in since the '60s who have no connection to Greenville,
right?
But they're almost all from Long Island, and they had a dad or a grandfather who owns like
to the port or to summer camp. Yeah,
exactly. And so the drive-in all the way through the '60s, like it's funny, like when we're open, we have kind of an odd schedule for how we're open, but if we happen to be open on like a Wednesday or a Thursday in the summer, we often get a lot of the resort people who are coming, because that was always the sort of day where it was like they've already done all the things at the resort they're staying at that week, and so now it's Wednesday or Thursday, so they need to get off the resort and go do something else, and that's when they'll come to the drive-in.
Mm-hmm.
April, I think we have to wind it down soon, but I wanted to ask you, like, did you have to carefully have 7 different drive-ins?
I have 11 drive-ins in 8 different states. Yeah. 8 different states.
Pretty impressive and ambitious. So did you have to really plot out? I mean, I know there's a couple in Texas we discussed, and there's a couple where maybe they're not too far from each other, but in large, did you like basically have to camp in one location and get all the footage? I can't imagine traversing the country back and forth. I mean, it's a
so I'm based in Los Angeles. My very first documentary that actually came out 10 years ago. It's called Going Attractions, the definitive story of the American drive-in movie. When I made that one, I traveled to every single state and visited a lot of drive-ins. And I wanted to do a second follow-up to that would go more in depth, because I realized pretty much all the drive-ins that are left out there are family owned. They're all unique. So, and they're all, even before COVID, just really struggling to keep them going. It is a labor of love, and you see in the film what they go through every night to put on the show. And I just wanted to pull back the curtain and go more in depth. I was planning to follow maybe 3 drive-ins and just go more deeply. But when COVID hit, I expanded it to the 11 because of some of the reasons I said earlier, that I really wanted to get a good cross section. I wanted, 7 screen drive-ins, single screen drive-ins, a drive-in that's been around for 70 years, one that just opened 3 weeks ago, different. I did every type of version of a drive-in I could. But what was interesting, I thought it would be different. I thought maybe in different states it would be different. I thought they might have different issues. But as soon as I went to 3 or 4 of them, I realized they're all telling me the same story. They're all the same. They're all, no matter how different they are, they're all dealing with mostly the same things. And they're more alike than not. And so I did drive from LA to Texas up to Nebraska, through the Midwest, Ohio, Illinois, up to Niagara Falls area, to Cape Cod, Baltimore, and then I drove all the way back when I made this movie. And I basically spent one night at each drive-in. So I would get there 2 or 3 in the afternoon while everybody's starting their setup, mowing the lawn, getting the hamburgers ready, in Rod's case, whatever it might be, getting the bar ready. And then they're pretty much there till about 2 a.m. So I was a one-man band. I had my drone. I had a GoPro that did a time lapse from empty to full, day to night. And then I had my primary camera. So I just pretty much at each drive-in, it was just 12 solid hours of just following them around, getting as much as I could to cut together and tell the story. And it was really fun.
Yeah, no, it sounds fun, but it sounds like boot camp too. It just sounds like a little. But you had a really, you had an operation there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I even ended up editing this movie too. So there's definitely a lot of my hands personally on this one. But it's really these owners, that I have gotten to know over the years, that were willing to let me put the camera in their face and follow them around and see behind the curtain a little bit. Just to share their stories. So it's really, the fact that they're willing to open up and show what they do, because they do so much. And, people show up at dusk. First of all, most of them show up right at dusk thinking they can just pull in and, like, the movie's already going. But yeah, just I wanted to show the passion and how much hard work goes into it, and the determination to keep them going, and how important it is to the communities where they're located. So, it's all about them sharing these stories. And we had fun shooting it, didn't we, you guys?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not that I ever want poor weather on anyone, but I'm kind of glad that you're able to show that. I think that was at Wellfleet that had the fog.
Yeah, Wellfleet had the fog.
Just because when you have a night that it's like Mother Nature is in control.
It just kills, one of the other modern like inconveniences of convenience is the weather apps. And so it's like, if there's even like 15 minutes of rain on a given day, it'll show a little rain icon on that day. But it could be raining from like 10:15 to 10:45 in the morning, but they're still going to show the rain thing. And then somebody
I know.
It's going to be raining. I'm not going to go.
That kills a night, and you have to prepare every night the same. And it doesn't matter if 10 people show up or 1,000 people show up, you have to prepare the same way every single night. And that forecast can be a killer.
So I will say that's one of the things out of COVID that actually helped us somewhat. Is prior to COVID, we were very, general admission, people came in. We had some function for buying tickets in advance, but not a particular.
Sorry to interrupt. I love you guys. I have to go.
Okay.
Sorry to be so rude. I just want to make sure people know we're going to tell people how to see it. It's called Back to the Drive-In. It's directed by April Wright, and these lovely people are just a handful of or I don't know, a movie, a drive-in full of the people that you're going to meet during the course of this wonderful documentary. And I really I'm sorry to cut it short because I could talk to you guys forever, but I really appreciate your making the time and coming on here. I really do.
Well, thanks for having us. Yeah, it's on video on demand March 14th. So anywhere you rent a new movie digitally, you can find it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Guys, good luck with the documentary, and we'll do this again.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Awesome. Bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.